Hey there everybody, Mark Crowley back here with another how to draw tutorial. I've done a couple of different tutorials on how to draw hair, but there are so many different ways of drawing manga hair that I thought it was well worth doing a third one. And let's not waste any time. I'm going to try to do at least two of these real time, these top two. So I'm going to go ahead and move in on this one and get started. Alright, so I've never really done a tutorial on drawing long hair. So that's really what I'm going to be focusing on with this one. I'm going to start by sort of indicating a triangular shape here that crosses up towards kind of the center of her skull here, I guess, maybe a little off to one side. And I'm going to make another line here that really goes right along the edge of her eyebrow and her eye. Now, having brought this up here, this is going to give me some sense of where the part in the hair is going to go. And so I'm going to sort of indicate that roughly here. Sometimes you can, sort of make that line a little jagged to make it look a little more natural, maybe. And so then this is going to divide the top part of the hair into two parts coming off the top of the skull here. First thing I want to do is come across here in a kind of a curving way to a point right off here. See, these two lines here roughly kind of parallel to one another, but when I get out here I'm going to stop and then bring it down, make a kind of a different angle, just to give this a little more form than if I just made it round. And that's coming down so that these two sort of look like they're heading toward one another. I'm not going to have them meet exactly together. I've left a little bit of space here to allow a strand to come off. I always think that makes hair look more attractive. You can have a little strand come off the side. And so we've got the basics of this. I'd say there's four different parts going to be in this hair. A section here, and then 3 and 4 coming down here. Let me go ahead and come over here and do this side. Now this side I'm going to just keep it rounded without that kind of point in space like I did before. Trying to get this as graceful as possible. And let's just sort of stop there for now. And maybe roughly indicate some kind of zigzag lines here that are going to eventually help us put a sort of shine to the hair. And we can kind of do the same thing over here. In fact, let me take this strand here, the one that we had drawn the line before, and go ahead and sort of finish that up to create a sort of strand of hair that's coming down here between the eye and the ear. That can be kind of attractive as well, something you can experiment with. Although you see here that I've left this ear exposed, so the hair is kind of tucked behind the ear, and that's going to determine the way I draw a lot of these lines here that are coming on this side of the head. All of them kind of following along this side of the skull. And so I got some lines that are kind of coming across here behind the ear. And at this stage I'm going to interrupt the curve that I had created here to have like another strand of hair. I mean, it's more than a strand. It's sort of like a, I don't know, band of hair that's coming off the side of the head. I'm going to do like 3 little sections here, curving around. Now, at this point, I'm starting to get into what I said was going to be the 4th section of hair down here. So I'm going to stop at that point. Maybe roughly indicate some zigzags as to where the shiny part of the hair is eventually going to be. But let's get down to this part. This should be pretty interesting down here, because what we're trying to do is give the feeling of really long hair that's kind of flowing gracefully over the shoulder, kind of cascading over. And so that's what I'm going to be going for here. And I'm going to break this into maybe 2 parts that are actually kind of roughly rectangular looking. Sort of imagine a sort of a boxy area right here where the hair is falling down, and then put a second. I'm going to put a second one a little smaller over here, and this one I'm going to have come across the shoulder break over that line of the shoulder. And I think, like I did here, I'm going to throw one extra little strand in here. And believe it or not, that kind of is taking care of that hair for me now. Again, I'm going to put in some sort of highlight areas that are going to stay white when I go to shade things in later. But let's move on to this last part of the hair over here. And again, we're trying to get a feeling of flowing, smooth hair. Let's see if I can get this to come in front of her chin a little bit, or the side of her chin. It's tough because I'm using this black Prismacolor here because it shows up really good on video. Normally I would try to erase a bit of the jaw there, but I can't really do that, so I'm just going to have to live with it. And again, I think maybe 3 different kind of flowing parts here. This one's going to be the longest one. Bring it all the way down here. Sort of a midsection that's coming in through here. All of these bands of hair kind of flowing together at this stage. Create a kind of almost waterfall effect of hair coming across her shoulder. I think I'll put a little bit coming over here in the back, indicate that some of the hair is falling behind the shoulder. I think I'm going to put one more strand coming off here on the side, like I did over here, and indicate some of these patches for where the highlights are going to go. And now I'm going to switch, I think it's time to switch to my Dixon Ticonderoga and start getting some of the lights and darks in here. So this part here, this section here, is all going to be fairly dark. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. And let that darkness extend down here, especially behind the chin, the jaw area. You can really get that nice and dark and not be afraid that you're going to ruin it. And there's another similar section back here behind the ear that I think I can just go ahead and darken in real good. And then for the rest of it, I'm going to put shadows on the lower edge of this section, which sort of makes it sort of round out a little, like it's kind of coming out toward us. But then kind of reverse that over here and get a shaded section back there. I think we got that going. I'm going to do a much lighter section up here near the part. I guess it's not that much lighter, but a little lighter. And go ahead and continue with that over on this side of the part as well. Notice how I'm sort of pulling my hand way back here on the pencil, and that allows me to do really light lines. And when I want to do something darker, I tend to choke up on the pencil or get my fingers closer to the tip. Let's see if we can get some more shading going on here. Always trying to get my pencil to follow along with the other lines that I've already put in. I don't want them to be sort of going this way and fighting against those lines, especially when you're trying to make sort of graceful, elegant-looking hair. You got to be careful to try to get those lines to kind of follow along. And I've said this in other videos, but normally I would be spinning the paper around rather than moving myself around. I think I'm trying to make it easy to see on the video, so I've got I keep the paper in one place and then I just try to move my hand around to get the maximum curve to the lines coming off my wrist. And I think we're pretty near the end here. Again, if I could erase my original Prismacolor lines, I would probably get rid of some lines right here where you see where the shoulder was indicated, and I would just have those go away. I'm going to go ahead and shade this in, and I think we'll be done with this one. So there you go. That's my little tips on drawing long, flowing hair. And let's move on now to men's hair with the next one. This is going to be kind of girl, boy, girl, boy. So now it's time to do the boy's hair. Alright, you can see this guy, not a super cheerful looking character. I want him to be a kind of dark, brooding type of character. So most of the hair is going to be coming kind of flat down, almost covering the eyes. And let me begin by establishing where the part, there's not a real part in this hair, but the hair does sort of come from one general area. And I'm going to set that part as being right about here. Having done that, I will know that most of my lines are sort of coming from that point as they come down along the head. So let me go ahead and indicate some rough lines for where this hair is going to go. This guy's got fairly flat hair that's not going to be coming off the head so much, which should make it fairly simple for drawing. I think when the last character that I'm going to do, character number 4, is going to have the sort of spiky hair that's all over the place, and that can be a little trickier. But I think it's interesting how hair, when you're doing hair for a character, that it is related to the personality of the character. You know, I want this guy to be sort of dark and brooding looking, so I'm giving this, you know, the hair can help reflect that and turn him into this sort of quiet, low-energy character. All right, having done that, I think it's time to start getting this hair that's coming down, almost covering the eyes. You'll see characters where the hair actually does cover one of the eyes. I'm not going to do that this time, but that's certainly a possibility. My style is to have hair, the longest hair coming down between the eyes so that I'm not obscuring them. I'm going to give like 3 nice big strands that come down here in the middle. This central one is the longest of all. And then let's get another line over here. Kind of like I had done before, I'm going to have this line really touch the edge of the eyes, or the edge of this eye, anyway. Kind of a strand coming down there. And between these two, I'm going to just sort of fill that up with maybe a small strand and a bigger strand. Over here, I can kind of do the same thing, maybe because I got this little gap space in here. I'm just going to go ahead and put 2, I guess, roughly the same size in that case. So I'm kind of wanting to have it both ways. I want a character who looks like his hair is coming in front of his eyes, but I'm not actually obscuring the eyes in this case. All right, having got that, I think I've indicated a little bit of the ear here. I'm going to have the hair fall halfway in front of this ear and pretty much completely over the other ear. And like I said, the hair's hanging fairly flat when you're doing the top part here, although again I get a little bit of an angle on this side, kind of coming out to a point a little bit. But when you get down here, past the ears, below the ears, that's when you can start to have more fun with the lines heading in different directions. This guy has fairly long hair. It can be a challenge to have a male character continue to look male when you give long hair, but I think that relates mainly to the way you draw the eyes and so forth, to have him continue to look masculine. Now this is going to be, I'm really going to go to town with a lot of different lines. I told you about how there was this part in the hair. All of these lines here are going to be for indicating the sort of shininess of the hair, and they are all more or less pointing towards that part in the hair. And I'm doing a lot of them, maybe more than I would normally do, but I want this guy to have very sort of shiny hair that's really broken into strands. All right, we're getting closer to the look I want here. I think I'm going to give just one little strand of hair popping off of the part. I don't know why. Sometimes you just like the way things look. And I think we're ready maybe to get into the shading on this one. So again, switching from the black Prismacolor to the Dixon Ticonderoga. Like I said before, you can really go to town behind the ears, behind the neck, jaw, or whatever back here. That can you can decide to make that dark and not have to worry about that too much. Now, as I go up, I'm going to sort of let up on the pencil and have it be not quite so dark as it was down there. But these lines that I had put in initially, these sort of zigzag lines, are where I'm going to stop putting color. I won't put any lines above that, and that's where I'm going to have this sort of illusion of shiny hair going on. Again, I would normally be turning the page. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to sort of bring my body over here and try to get these lines to follow the form of the head. I'm kind of pulling back on my pencil so that I can really pivot off the rest to get the rest of this in here. As I did on that side of the head, I can make this quite dark over here. And maybe get a few secondary lines up here, but I'm going to go ahead and shade quite a lot of this in sort of a medium gray at the top of the head. And there you go, sort of a darker, more brooding-looking character. Although he looks sort of sensitive in a way, doesn't he? He certainly doesn't look like a mean guy. I think I'll have some fun and put a little bit of shade over his eyes, like the hair is actually shading his eyes a little. And there we go for that character. Now this video is already getting pretty long, so I'm going to go ahead and do the other two hairstyle drawings in time-lapse, but then maybe talk just a little bit about both of them once I've completed them. So let's get on with it. Alright, well, this is kind of a fun hairstyle to do. I always like this kind of thing where the hair is held up by ribbons and gets to come off the head like, I don't know if they're pigtails or what they are, but it's sort of an attractive hairstyle. And if you feel like you're in a rut and all your female characters seem to have the same hairstyle, try playing around with this kind of thing. It's very distinctive and makes your character stand out. Anyone who's seen my manga series, Miki Falls, knows that I have a character named Yumi, and I gave her almost ridiculously gravity-defying hair that certainly, made her stand out, and that helped convey her sort of peppy character. Well, let's move on to the last one. It's going to be one more male character, and this time, as I said earlier in the video, it's going to be the kind of spiky hair. I'll do it all in time-lapse, and then come back to talk about it after I've finished. Okay, so here you have this character with the spiky hair. One thing that's interesting is even when you have a character that looks like they have just sort of messy hair, it does actually, again, come back to some kind of a part. Like right here, this point right here seems to be where the hair is coming from, a lot of it anyway. And so if you want to keep your character's hair from looking like one big mess, make sure that you do choose a point that somewhere where the part, where the hair is sort of originating from, and that can help sort of organize things for you. This is a lighter-haired character, I don't know, maybe blonde-haired or something, so I'm not going in and toning it with the pencil as much as I did the others. And it does show you that even with a spiky-haired character, you've really got maybe two directions, mainly a lot of hair, maybe the majority of the hair kind of coming in this direction, curving down, and then interrupted periodically by these spikes of hair that are pointing up. And you can just play around with different combinations of that until you get a style that works for you. Well, I think we're done with this one. I'm going to pull back so we can see all 4 of them and have some final words. All right, well, there you have it. 4 different manga hairstyles for you to look at and mix and match and get some inspiration from as you sit down to draw your own characters. As always, I want to thank everyone who has bought Miki Falls, my manga series. It's so great to hear from people who have been buying the series, sometimes all 4 at a time, and even those who haven't got the series who have just found it at the library. I appreciate anyone just reading the series. This time I also want to send a little quick shout-out to Jill Thompson, a great friend of mine who is the creator of many great comic book series. Among them, a manga series, manga graphic novel that inspired me, Death, at Death's Door. I saw, wow, Jill's doing a book in the manga style. I wonder if I could do such a thing. So hats off to Jill. I'm going to put some links in the information section about this video if you want to check out her work, and I really hope you will. Plus, I'm going to do a separate video that's sort of a tribute video to Jill in the weeks ahead. So that's probably all the time we have for today. I hope you found this video useful. Thanks so much for subscribing and for giving me your requests for future videos. Keep them coming. And that's it for now, my friends. We'll be back with another video for you real soon.